What do you see the key issues being here in Iowa, and how do you assess your chance? You feel like you can? Are you actually predicting you're going to win Iowa?
I feel very well. Look, I think we can win Iowa. I mean, we're working harder than anybody else here, and obviously, you know, it's a long road. I mean, February's a long way away, and a lot of things can happen. I feel very good about the reception we've gotten here. As you can see, we've got a lot of folks signed up, a lot of people. You know, we were just at the homeschool conference, and we had a couple hundred people there sign up and want to volunteer and offer to come and help us out here. And as you know, this is hand-to-hand combat here in Iowa, and having people who are willing to get on the phones and say, you know, I'm from your neighborhood, and I support Rick Santorum, and I've met him, and I talked to him, and here's what he's about. He's a guy we can trust. He's a guy that's got courage. He's a guy that stood up and done it in the past, and, you know, we're looking for someone, you know, we like what everybody's saying, but we like what he's done, and we like that he's not only saying the good right things, but he's also done the right things consistently.
What do you see as the key issues being here in Iowa?
Well, obviously, you know, I talk about the transformational issue is you know, what America is going to be like in the future. You heard me talk about this. Are jobs important? Sure, but jobs are a function of the fact that the government has become so intrusive and so repressive with respect to its intrusion in the economy of this country that the free market can't work anymore. The businesses can't function, and that's why jobs and that's why the economy is hurting. It's because of the cumulative policies of government and particularly the acceleration of government control under this president that has put this economy in the condition it's in. And the more foundational issue here is what kind of America we're going to leave. And you know, in spite of all the things that Obama's doing, you know, the economy is going to eventually recover. I mean, America is a resilient country, but are we going to still have the freedoms left? Are we going to be able to, as I said before, you know, stand up to Washington and say, you know, we want to be able to determine what kind of health care we want. We don't want government telling us this is the care you're going to get, this is how much you're going to spend, this is the benefit structure you're going to have, these are the doctors you're going to see, this is the loans you're going to have. This is, you know, this is the, with cap and trade, you know, this is how much energy you're going to consume. It's not just going to be light bulbs and toilets. It's going to be everything else. And this is the ever encroaching power of government that I think we will lose the very foundation of our country. This country was based on a concept that Americans' federal government was here for one purpose, and that's to keep people free, allow people to rise, and yes, allow people to fall, allow success and failure, don't punish it, but try to encourage more success to help people who fail to get back up, but not, that's why welfare reform is a good example. We had a dependency culture on welfare. We put work requirements, we put time limits, and we changed the face of welfare. We need to do the same thing with Medicare, we need to do the same thing with food stamps, we need to do the same thing with housing supports. This idea of a permanent underclass in America that is attached to the government and welfare benefits is not good for America, and it's certainly not good for the people who are you know, attached and trapped to that system. What Obama's doing with Obamacare, he's now trying to take not those who are fallen economically and attach them to government dependency. He's now trying to get every working man and woman attached and have an entitlement, have something that they've gotten from the government that they're now dependent upon. I always talk about Margaret Thatcher and her comment that she said she was never able to accomplish what Reagan accomplished in this country because of the British healthcare system. And I was on Simon Conway's show last night. She goes, "That's right. Maggie Thatcher would have never gotten elected had she gone out and said at the time, I was for overturning the British healthcare system." She had to say, the British healthcare system is safe with me. Paul Ryan, as bold as he is, what is he saying? Seniors, your benefits are safe with me. I'm not going to touch you. Imagine now if every American has an entitlement. Every American is now hooked up to the government and is dependent or feels they're deserving or entitled to this benefit. And our country continues along the path. How are we ever going to solve these problems if we have to wait a generation to change anything?
Sure.
So what's the main point you want to get across in the debate on Monday?
Well, I think the main point is that I've been the guy that's been out there courageously fighting the conservative cause across the board in the toughest environment, taking the bullets, and leading when it was popular, and more importantly, when it was unpopular to do those things. And we need a president who has the courage and has the ability. The other thing is I was successful. I think one of the reasons the left is so apoplectic about my candidacy is because I actually succeeded. I succeeded in passing wealth. I succeeded in ending entitlement. I succeeded in changing, the abortion laws in this country. I succeeded in passing tax cuts. I succeeded in changing the culture of spending in Washington D.C. when I was there. So I think that's the reason they're most concerned.
How exciting is it to be here officially opening up shop in Iowa?
Well, it's been a long time. People have been asking me questions for a long time if I'm running for president, and so to actually say yes, I am, and sort of take the gloves off a little bit and start swinging and talk about why I'm the better candidate instead of just talking about issues is really exciting. And in the days and months ahead, we'll be talking about the different candidates and the fact that I think you can look at my record and show that I've been a very consistent conservative. You're not going to see any blemishes on my having bought into the left's ideas as how to solve things, and I think there are many candidates in this race who have done that, who I think are going to have to account other than the fact that, gee, I made a mistake.
Are you going to take the gloves off during the debate on Monday?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
you said you're not afraid to compare yourself to other candidates.
On issues, I think it's important to draw contrast, and if the opportunity presents itself to draw a contrast, I won't pass on the opportunity.
There's a lot of people who are wondering, and a lot of debate about where does Mike Huckabee's support that he had in Iowa go. You're coming off of the homeschooler conference. You're the only candidate there. Are you surprised by that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm the homeschooling dad.
All your kids are homeschooled?
My kids were homeschooled through grade school, pretty much. Some a little beyond, some a little short, but the average was through 8th grade.
Okay.
And we've done it for 14 years. We did it when it was considered to be really weird, and we stood up and took the again, had the courage to stand up and say, this was what's best for my family. I think homeschooling is really a little window into the future of education. I mean, it's customized, it's parental involvement, it's technology, it's diverse, it's exciting, it's dynamic. That's the kind of future for education that I'd like to see for America. That kind of dynamism that's customized to the needs of families and children. And that's why I was there, because I wanted to make sure they knew that I supported what they were doing, and that now I supported it, that I was the principal in my homeschool.
No, I was at the conference this morning, and clearly there are a lot of people there who are supporting you. Clearly a lot of people support you who are opposed to abortion or opposed to gay marriage. But can you get elected president being the candidate of social conservatives?
Well, I think most of the people in this race share the same opinions on those issues as I do. So the difference is I've had the courage to fight on those issues and actually talk about them. And that's a differentiator. But as far as can I get elected being a social conservative, every Republican in the race is going to be a social conservative. So the idea that somehow I'm different because of that is, I think, a bit of a red herring. The bottom line is that I've also been a national security conservative and been a leader in the Middle East on a lot of fronts, on major pieces of legislation, on the Armed Services Committee that I mentioned before, and in transforming our military. I've been a leader on an entitlement reform. I've been a leader on cutting taxes and limiting government. So the story that's not been written, everybody likes to say, oh, he's just, he's the social conservative candidate and that's his box. It's not true. I mean, it may have been the case in other candidates in the past, but you look at my record, it stands up very, very well on pro-growth, it stands up well on entitlement reform, it stands up well on issues where a lot of Republicans went off in the wilderness, called cap and trade. I didn't even put my toe in that water because I know it was toxic. It was the wrong approach, and it was a fool's errand as far as I'm concerned.